Hey, Tommy again. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and
Hello,
clear.
folks. Can you hear me? Oh, great. Well, hey, Tommy, thanks for asking me to join you folks. And yeah, let me kick it off because I think the timing is actually pretty good for us. Uh, I was going to start this thing off with the director saying, hey, look, you've got to want this thing more than we do. Uh, yeah, we didn't get the funding this time around. We're still in the sort of the queue for the next time around. But I got to tell you, after looking at yesterday's scorecard that reflected over 3,500 matches, a dozen products already and services provided, over 4,000 mentors, mentees trained, and then looking at the videos, and then as things would happen, I was sitting in OJJDP yesterday with Dorothy and the Council of Young Leaders, and they spent the entire hour and a half talking about the mentoring impact in their life. So I think I don't think we have to go that route. I think you guys know that mentoring had a pretty positive impact on your organizations. We're doing some kind of separating the twine a little bit and actually looking at outcomes, and Kelly's actually kind of seen that programs that have this mentoring embedded into them actually have better outcomes as well. But we didn't get the funding, so we got to talk about sustaining strategies, and really this was Tommy and Kelly and Melissa's inspiration, and the balance of this presentation will be about, well, what kinds of things can we do to get us to that next the next scope or next round of funding. I do want to share with you that about a month ago I sat down with Dorothy to find out what's in her head about mentoring, and she wants to keep this thing going. This is one of the best, most successful program launches that YouthBuild's been through in quite a few years. And what she's hearing from the young people is that it really does make a difference. And she's looked at the videos, and it's one of the reasons she was sitting with me in a conference room yesterday at OJGP talking to the demonstration products administrator. And Dr. Butts, by chance, was there as well, talking about the interim report. So Dorothy's in it. Now, what it looks like is that, as with many mentoring programs, you're going to have to figure out how to keep it embedded in your programs until we do at our end figure out federal funding and actually some private funding as well. It's still out there, and Tommy will talk about some of those strategies. But I will share with you some things I learned yesterday. There'll be another mentoring RFP coming out from OJGP end of January, maybe early February. One of the reasons why I wanted to time this meeting with them yesterday was so that they could actually see the impact on YouthBuild students, and frankly it worked. I think they got the idea of what those 3,500 relationships might look like. There's also some other funding that's coming across, possibly from DOL, that has to do with reentry young people, but what it cracked open was also some of the age restrictions that OGGP lays on us, namely with the 18-year-old limitation, and we might see some movement on that because of the funding source being outside of OJJDP. All that to say is that YouthBuild USA's, we're still in it. There's going to be a mentoring leadership team. Tommy and his folks have done a great job stockpiling the medallions and the postcards and the pins and all those things that support you. The COP is not going to shut down. It's in fact going to grow and get better, and we have a whole host of new products coming out along that line as well. On your end, you've got to continue doing what you're doing, and that is leveraging and embedding mentoring inside of your programs. And I would also add, some of you may or may not be aware that YouthBuild US, this is not so much a demonstration project anymore. We are formal partners with Mentor, and we're recognized as a youth mentoring provider, and following those tenets of elements of effective practice by mentors. So, there's a lot of good news. It was a little bit of downer not to come out with the funding at this time around, but plenty of other programs that figured out how to do that while they bridge. And with that, I think, Tommy, I'll turn it over to you or Kelly. I think you guys are going to pick it up, and I'll stay on with you till the end for questions.
Okay, thanks a lot, Carlos, for getting us started. And what I just want to start out is with throughout this webinar, we'll be discussing and providing examples on how to make mentoring fully integrated into the elements of your program's critical operation, and how to develop champions, and also how to go about leveraging your community assets. And we're going to do it with 3 plays and various steps on the essentials of infusing mentoring into the heart of your program. And each time we'll address the question. The questions will require you to look for a response, and that response will be to help you evaluate where your program is currently at. And so we're just going to go ahead and get started. And We're going to get started with a little poll, and this poll is going to be a statement, and we're going to ask you to answer the statement that best implies your program. And so, as you see on your screen now, you see the actual poll, and it's the question is: mentoring is fully integrated. Is a fully integrated element of my program's critical operational functions. And you're going to actually select even the selection that best describes where your program is with mentoring. Is it completely, do you completely disagree, or do you completely agree with that statement? So why don't you take a couple seconds and use your mouse and click on that, and let's take a little poll to find out exactly where we are as a group.
Tommy, can you hear me? Tommy?
Yes, I can. That's Marvin Davis, correct?
Correct. Just want to make sure I can't get my monitor. I'm on, but I can't get the it's not rolling. All I'm getting YouthBuild mentoring headline. But I'm with you here.
Stay on. All right. If you can just stay on the line, and we'll pull you back in. Okay. Thank you, Marvin.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to look at the results. All right, and the results of this saying that that 33% of you you strongly you agree that you have it integrated, and then I see another just 50% agree. So we got about 83% of you have began the process of integrating mentoring into your program, and that's excellent. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of hopefully enhance some of the things that you're doing, and give you a few more tools that will help you to embed mentoring deeper into the fabric of your program. And what we're going to look at now, it's going to give you a couple of steps as we move into play number 1. And play number 1, once again, is how to integrate mentoring into the fabric of your program. And just a couple of steps that you can use in order to do that. And the first one is to use unrestricted thinking and funding strategies to make mentoring a reality as part of your YouthBuild program. And you can do that through various ways, and developing ways to, for instance, your group mentoring. By doing group mentoring and beginning to infuse that older group, maybe that 16 to 18 group that have not been a part of mentoring. Now you can, I'm sorry, that 18 to 24 group, you can start folding them into the mentoring fold, and also maybe establishing some type of business advocate mentoring program, or just ensuring that the mentoring component appears on all of your grant proposals. It's just simple ways like that. Or you could begin embedding and institutionalizing mentoring into all aspects of your program, so that you do nothing without mentoring being sitting at the table. And that would be everything from your boardroom table all the way down to your maybe your daily staff meetings, just to make sure that mentoring is always a part of it. And then you can begin championing mentoring as a key program element, that it's part of the success factors of your program, that mentoring, you're kind of raising the bar, raising the level of mentoring. And then there's a couple other steps. Just create a sense of ownership among the staff, that the staff and your board members and anyone connected to your program, they understand that they own mentoring. It's not just the mentoring coordinator, but it belongs to the entire staff. And then the last one I like the most is just to make being a mentor an awesome event. Just make it something that is special, that anyone who's one of your mentors, they know that they're a part of something special, a part of a bigger picture. So we went around the country and have done a lot of TA assignments, and we went around and we've seen a lot of programs that have begun to actually integrate mentoring into the fabric of the program. And one of the programs we were able to work with the director and see the director actually infuse mentoring into the program is the program up in Gary, Indiana. And the person who actually directs that program is Marvin Davis, and Marvin Davis is joining us. Matter of fact, he's so passionate about it. He's at home sick with pneumonia, and he's joining us from his bed right now because he wanted to be a part of this. So Marvin, thank you for joining us today, and even in spite of being under the weather, we thank you for getting online. Marvin had a question for you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Marvin had a question for you.
Okay.
I remember discussing with you during one of the site visits that mentoring was like a missing link in your program, and you used mentoring to invite the community into your program. Can you tell me kind of how that happened and also the impact of that happening?
Well, first, thank you again, Tommy and Melissa, for letting me be on this panel. And I may be sick, but hey, they sent me to war feeling worse than this, so I think I can do this easy from home. We're a small program, and most of the time my staff is always overwhelmed. And I saw mentoring as a sixth man. And I broke it into the components to where I asked each staff member to look for mentors from their components. This mentor would give them someone to, I guess, keep the pulse on how they were doing at their own jobs, but also would give the students another avenue in which to communicate whether it's working or not. After the first year of mentoring, we really had a bump in visibility like we had never seen before, because the mentors were actually interested in what was going on with the students, and the students were telling everyone else about their relationship through mentoring, that I had people from the state asking me, was I running a mentoring contract under them, and they didn't know about it because they had heard so much. They got referrals. And basically, our program will never be the same because we now know mentoring is a component of what we do. Each one of my, even now, the alumni have started a mentoring component where they, to themselves, mentor other alumni just coming in because some of them have served. I think it is important that you find the right people at the right moment to give the right service. And that's what mentoring is. It's simply investing in someone, seeing a return, realizing the intangible, and then keeping it real. Hey, you need someone that can pull you to the side that you can respect, and a lot of times that person ain't in your small circle. And mentoring helped our program. A lot of times I see people, I'm like, is that a staff person? No, that's also a mentor. I used to know all the mentors. Now I don't know all the mentors. And it's a good thing because the place is really busy. And I see people coming in and out, and I'm like, okay, this is a good thing.
Marvin, I have a question. What did that do to, as far as the sustainability of your program?
Well, we had somewhat of a panic attack when we found out that we would not have another access to another mentoring grant. And the mentor said, does that mean we have to stop? And I was like, well, no, that doesn't mean we don't have to stop, but overall, our program started thinking, well, the workshops and everything, the webinars, who are going to do it? I said, well, we have to do it, but we do need funds. We still have the activity. We still need funds so that we can, when we go places and do things, we can have a celebration behind it. And we need to keep putting our logo out. And we do need to do some fundraising. Well, I had a young lady come to us with a fundraiser. It was called Energize Indiana. And she was a mentor. And it was simply that we could go out and we could ask residents to have an energy audit done by another entity. And if they had the audit done, they would receive some energy efficient light bulbs, some water reducing fixtures, and then we would receive $25 for each household that was done. I think the last count, we have raised about $6,700. That's over 256 units. Everyone went to everybody and said, just call these people. This agency needs this money for mentoring. Now,
and that was all, Marvin, and that was all started by one of your mentors, correct?
Correct. And when the check, we've had 2 checks come in, Tommy. Everybody was asking me, well, the finance was, okay, where does the funds go? I'm like, who's the check from? They said, Energize Indiana. I said, well, put it with mentoring. And they said, okay, so what is mentoring going to do with it? I'm like, well, they'll probably go on a field trip or an outing. And they said, Reverend Davis, was $6,500. I said, well, what'd you say?
All right. Well, one thing I just want to, Marvin, I kind of want to highlight is that, and for all those who are on the line, is that when even when you do things like that, that money now becomes unrestricted money for things like, for instance, some of the grant money won't allow you to do food, but now they've generated enough unrestricted money now where they can actually use it for food, so they're strengthening their sustainability. So Marvin, I just want to, because we're running short on time, I just want to thank you for joining us from your bed. We didn't send you to war, but we brought you into the webinar, so we thank you for coming in. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move right into just a couple other tips, and we have a couple other panelists that are joining us today. But one of the tip, another tip I want to talk about is actually using mentors and mentees, their matches as part of your development, which is Marvin kind of talked about that, and they became part of the fundraiser and part of partnering with the community in large, and also using mentoring as a training ground for potential board members, so that individual who helped start the fundraiser sounds like could be a potential that you could actually move from being mentor into being a board member. So you're beginning to kind of think outside of the box and looking long term. And then also letting mentoring enhance your visibility. What they were able to do is enhance the visibility in their community, just because now all the mentoring matches, they're going door to door in the community, are aware of what's going on. So what they've done is kind of thought outside of the box. They've generated some funding and also strengthened the sustainability of the program. And then there's 2 other points I want to bring out, just allowing mentoring to be a tool to improve your overall program goals and objectives. That mentoring doesn't stand on its own. It's just a tool that can be used to enhance what you're already doing. And whenever you're doing something, your activities or any of your programmatic events, it's a great place to kind of put a mentoring spin on it. And so I'm just excited that that the program in Gary, that you begin to actually infuse mentoring into the fabric of your program. And I have another guest with me, Angie Wills from River City YouthBuild in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And Angie, what caught my attention with Angie when I first met her was her passion and excitement for mentoring. So Angie, thanks for joining us today.
All right, thank you, Tommy, and I thank you for inviting me to be a part of the panel. Of course, I'm still excited.
All right.
Our students are still excited. Our mentors are still excited. And as I indicated in several meetings with Tommy, that we would like to make mentoring a movement in Northeastern North Carolina.
When you say the word movement, can you kind of define, because I believe that in your program you've already started making it a movement. What are you doing, and how are you doing?
What we are doing in Northeastern North Carolina is empowering other agencies and organizations to come along with us in providing mentoring programs within their own particular segments. And one thing in particular I could make note of is that our local community college has recently started a new mentoring program for African American males. And it's called Media, and it's focusing on young men who are interested in, singing, the rapping, and so they're tapping into some of their passions, and they've created this mentoring program in our community just recently with a focus in trying to bring some of our YouthBuild participants along the way. So when I say movement, I mean, empowering other agencies to come on board to look at our young people as what we call souls, saving one useful life. So with that said, is that we continue to be excited about it. We know that our impact on our young person is much more long-term and successful when they do have a mentor in their lives.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you, it's a story of a match that you have down at your program. And I had a chance of meeting both Edward and Larry. Edward, the mentee, and Larry, the mentor. Can you give us just a quick kind of synopsis on that match, and because that just kind of encapsulates what the mentoring was all about.
Okay, Edward came to YouthBuild. I believe he was about 16 and a half, not quite 17 when he came to YouthBuild. And Edward is one of about 12 children. And unfortunately, his family moved back to New York where they were living, and Edward was left here with his grandmother during the time that the match was made with he and Larry. So that mentoring relationship has flourished. There was also an opportunity for Larry and Edward to participate in the Great Match program where they won a trip to Orlando, Florida. So that was a major success. And I believe when they came back from Florida, that, so to speak, kind of set it off for Edward. He came back. He started passing his tests, one after the other. I believe he had already taken one test and passed it. When he came back from Florida, he flew through 4 additional tests. He still has just a few more points left before he's actually able to get his GED. So we know that mentoring has had a positive impact on our program, and it assists us in as we're integrating mentoring within our component. And I too, like Marvin, ditto that it was the missing link. We were doing mentoring at some level, but until some investment is kind of integrated in there where there's some resources for us to really expand beyond just the traditional mentoring program, that really set our mentoring program at another level. And I think that's when the movement itself kind of started, because we know the positive impact that it can have on a young person's life.
Thank you, Angie, for that, and know that there's great things going on at at your program. And if both Marvin and Angie, they're available if you want to know how they did it, you can just feel free to contact them, and I'm sure both of them they're excited about what they do, and so they will give you any information you need. What we're going to do, we're going to kind of transition into, we did the first play, and so we're going to actually do the second play. So we're calling up Kelly Belmonte. She's Associate Director for the National Mentoring Alliance, and Kelly's going to kick off play 2.
Okay, thanks, Tommy. So the second play is about developing champions for your program, and this is really first and foremost about relationship building. The thing you want to be asking yourself is, who knows about the importance of mentoring for your YouthBuild program, and do they know how to be a part of it? It's really broadly about communicating a clear message in effective ways to a targeted audience. This may be an obvious statement, but it's important for sustainability, because people will champion and contribute to who they know and what they know about. So the relationships really matter. I'm going to move on to some proven communication tips. And these really were developed just from looking at what's working out in the field for you guys. And, you know, so these are from you, from you to you. First of all, include mentoring everywhere on agendas. And this is a messaging thing. If you keep talking about something, eventually it's going to get through, the importance of it. Add mentoring activities and mentoring information to your program-wide calendar and website and program newsletters. People want to be involved in the good stuff. Let them know how. Donate button. This is really important. Make it easy for people to give to you. And finally, this is the part, unfortunately, that gets forgotten, but you want to thank your donors, your volunteers, and your advocates. And hey, how about this? Have your mentees, mentees and mentors work together on a letter to up to your program supporters. Say, hey, your support meant everything to me. This is how it's changed my life to be having a mentor. This is a really powerful thing to have that direct communication. So however you can get that message out. So I also want to share just what we're doing at YouthBuild USA. So the next slide. In terms of, we've developed a couple resources, communication resources, specifically for our own communication development efforts with potential new partners and funders. These are on the community of practice, and we have emailed a link to you already, but we'll forward it as a follow-up as well in case you didn't get it. But we want you to definitely make use of them for yourselves as well. The fact sheet, the first document there, is a short 2-page piece that explains what the National Mentoring Alliance is, how the YouthBuild mentoring model works, the impact of mentoring on YouthBuild students, and other innovations and successes. Mike Geringer of Education Northwest developed the Making the Case document, which is a complement to the fact sheet detailing evidence that supports our claim that YouthBuild mentoring is evidence-based and making a difference. Is Mike unmuted? Okay. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about this document?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. One of the things that we wanted to provide you as directors, as the folks who are primarily responsible for going out and kind of securing new resources and building new partnerships was, obviously there's a lot of pressure these days on youth serving programs of all types to be what, quote unquote evidence-based. And you'll hear that term kind of rephrased as, research-based best practices or, aligned with research or building on what works. You hear all these kinds of catchphrases. What they really are getting at is, kind of what is the scientific basis or theoretical basis for your services, and how as a funder or a potential partner for your program, how can I be assured that what you're doing is a good investment of my time and dollars. And so the Making the Case document really highlights what I thought were two very easy to make points about YouthBuild mentoring. The first is one that Carlos alluded to during the introduction here, where the model that we developed for you, the YouthBuild mentoring model, is really in alignment with the elements of effective practice. That is kind of the widely accepted kind of benchmark document for the youth mentoring field in terms of program practice. The third edition of that was put together by a committee of researchers and others who really went out of their way to go find evidence in studies of mentoring programs that supported the practices that they recommend for all mentoring programs. And so when we put together this program model for OJJDP, we were very intentional about making sure that almost every element of what you all do, from the way you screen and train your mentors, the way you make matches, the way you monitor and support the relationships, the evaluation of your efforts, the way you manage the program, all of that is really in alignment already with the elements of effective practice. And so I think that's something you can tell a potential funder or partner to kind of calm their fears about, what you're doing, and really make the case that you're running a solid model that's based on a good theory of change and sound program management practices. The second kind of main emphasis of this document is on some research that was done. It came out at the end of 2011, where Dr. David Dubois and some colleagues at the University of Illinois Chicago, they did a meta-analysis, which, if you don't know what that is they basically took about 75 youth mentoring evaluations and kind of lumped the results together and kind of did this kind of jumbo aggregate, what do we know about the success of youth mentoring kind of as a whole across all of these different studies. And they found a number of kind of aspects of mentoring programs that seem to indicate a greater potential for increased success. And those were things like the risk level of the youth being served, mentors taking on an advocacy or a teaching role, mentors and mentees being matched around similar interests as opposed to other characteristics like geographic proximity or race, and then a few things around the occupational or educational background of mentors. And what this document does is it kind of walks through each of those kinds of moderators of program success and really makes the case that YouthBuild mentoring is kind of hitting the mark on all of those things. So it's not just that YouthBuild mentoring is following the general elements of effective practice, but there are some things specifically about the young people you serve and the way you run your programs that seem to be aligning with these kinds of, I guess you could think of them as, bonus factors, things that have been shown to kind of increase the impact of a mentoring program. Dubois and his colleagues also found just some general findings around the overall effectiveness of youth mentoring on certain educational outcomes, behavioral outcomes, kind of personal development, and this kind of also walks through the ways in which YouthBuild mentoring really works with young people in those ways. And then on the last page of the document, I added some other bullet points that I felt were things that you might want to reference when writing a grant proposal or when talking to a funder or a potential partner. You might want to work these into your elevator speech, so to speak. Just different things about YouthBuild mentoring that I feel kind of really make the case that this is a well-run program and a program that really fits the rest of what you do in your YouthBuild program. I think the way that mentors supplement everything else that young people get in YouthBuild is really interesting and kind of a unique aspect of what you all are doing. And so I kind of wrote this thing up so that you could take language from it and cut and paste it into proposals and make, really tried to make it easy for you as directors to kind of work with these ideas and really infuse some research into grants or other pitches you make about the program. So if anyone has questions about that, you can shoot me an email or bring them up here on the call.
Thank you, Mike. That's really helpful, and I, for one, definitely intend to do lots of cutting and pasting with that document. So thank you for making my job easier. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to the third and final play, and I'm going to pass it over to Tommy to take it away.
All right. One of the things that with the third and final play is that we ran play 1 and we ran play 2, and play 3 should give you the ability to basically leverage all of the integration and all of the communication strategies that we use, and now we're at the point where we can leverage our community assets. And so we originally, I don't know if a little technical problem, and we're trying to get Suzanne Fitzgerald online. And Suzanne, just checking, are you still out there, or are we able to hold you on? All right, so we have some technical problems, and if Suzanne comes back online, what we'll do is we'll get her online. But we're going to ask Suzanne from the director's perspective how she has leveraged the community assets, and I'm very familiar with the program at the YouthBuild McLean County that's in Norman, Illinois, and Suzanne is the founder and also the director of that program. But one of the things that they have done in that program is that mentoring was a part of YouthBuild McLean County before mentoring was fashionable. It was they had it already connected to their program because they saw the benefits of not only the mentoring program but also bringing the community online. And that program has been able to take a mentoring and parlay that into a very strong sustainability effort from the State Farm Insurance Company that's headquartered in Norma, Illinois. And so that they have connected with them, and they connected with them, it was strange, by first of all kind of asset mapping their community. And in asset mapping the community, they were able to do, and they noted that a number of the individuals who worked for State Farm also were connected to an organization called 100 Black Men. And they were able to get inroads into through the organization 100 Black Men, which in turn opened the door for them to get into State Farm Insurance. State Farm Insurance, then from that point on, they were able to get a VP, one of the vice presidents of State Farm, to become a mentor. And when he became a mentor, he was able to see the program and what the program was doing, and because of what he was able to see and experience himself, now State Farm is very strong. It's a very strong part of their development effort, and they have a great partnership with the State Farm program. So that's one of the things that they did, and they were able to do that early on. So I sure wish we were able to have this Suzanne Fisher on, and somehow with technical glitch, and she dropped off. But I just wanted to thank her even for trying to get on. But before we end this, and we're getting close to our ending time, we've also, from the national level, we begin to also to kind of asset map the country and leverage some of our community assets. And so what we've done is we've brought on other partners, and we've had some work with the National Basketball Retired Players Association. We're trying to get up and running. And we've got some major connections with mentoring. Carlos, you kind of made reference to mentor early in the discussion. Can you give us a little bit more about the partnership and the part that YouthBuild USA and Mentor will be playing together?
Well, yeah, I can, and actually, maybe even in a broader context, because I really love this three-play analogy, because I over the years I've seen this sort of synergy of those things work together, and that takes us to a lot of these partnerships that help sustain it. I've seen it at the program level where, and I think you've got it now, that it improves your outcomes, but probably more significantly that you've seen the impact. So you've got that piece going already. At the YouthBuild USA level, you've got, and Tommy's alluded to these partnerships that we're going to talk about here in a second. A lot of it you may or may not know, but our partnership with Education Northwest, with John J. Cooney, our evaluation teams, our coaches teams, Tommy's alluded to some of the celebrity things. A lot of that goes on as a backdrop in support of the programs. About 6 months ago, I got a hold of the CEO of Mentor, and he's moving his office or departed from Washington to Boston. David Shapiro is a great guy, and we established a formal relationship between YouthBuild USA and Mentor, and where they've recognized us as a youth provider, and we are going to use some of their resources and a lot of the things that Mike's already alluded to. Some of the invisible sort of support things that you don't see is not only those conversations that I have with Mentor, but also with Fidelity Investments and Bank of America. I spent a lot of time walking the halls in DOL and CNCS and OJGDP, getting them to try to synchronize their mentoring efforts and telling our story. Dorothy's involved. She's got YouthBuild mentoring into the White House now with the White House initiative around youth, around the National Youth Leadership Council. Dorothy brokered a relationship with Core Network, Opportunity Nation, Jobs for America, YouthBuild USA, and out of their strategic goals, mentoring became the fourth one. Another key partnership. going back to mentor, some of you may know, it's the who's who of mentoring, not only Education Northwest, which is presenting, but also Tommy and Kelly are presenting and a breakout session in mentor. So these things, I call them invisible support because they sort of take time to kind of germinate into something that will yield money, but we're making, we're doing that homework on your behalf and on the front end because we just know it'll pay dividends. And I have to tell you that after 2.5 years, we did this from zero to quite what I would consider pretty sophisticated mentoring effort. And I think our association and partnership with all those folks I've talked about, in particular, Mentor has been truly, the icing on the cake in terms of YouthBuild USA mentoring. Thanks, Tommy.
All right, thanks, Carlos. And we had a couple minutes left on the call, and we just want to make sure that as directors or program leaders that you know what's available out there. And we have the community of practice. We can't say it enough, and Education Northwest has worked with us to put together a very good website, especially as well respected in the mentoring field. And in addition to that, we want to let you know there's also some other tools out there. We have the new mentoring coordinator, so if you're bringing on a new mentoring coordinator or you just want to educate the rest of your staff on what's going on with mentoring in the process or the YouthBuild mentoring process, there's the Quick Start Guide, which once again, a lot of these were developed by Education Northwest and jointly with the YouthBuild staff. And so those are great tools that will help you bring your staff up to speed. And then also you have your mentor and mentee training toolkits to help you train your mentors and mentees. And the other thing, we have 3 e-learning modules out there, but I just want to highlight there's 2 of them out there that actually work with post-secondary education. And what we've done is actually we begin the same thing as we're talking about integrating. We're trying to integrate mentoring into other initiatives within YouthBuild. So that PSC e-learning module is there to begin to infuse mentoring into what we do on a day-to-day basis. And then also there's tons of forums, handbooks. We have other recorded webinars that are out there, and also when we're all done, this webinar itself will also be recorded, so if you need to replay it, it's out there and available. And then we'll have continued technical assistance, and just know we're not going anywhere. We're just as passionate about mentoring as you are, and we just want to once again reemphasize is that your programs better than we do, and you love your programs more than we do. So it's something that you have to continue to be passionate about, and we'll provide all of the support necessary in order to make it work. At this time, we just want to make sure if there's any questions. We're kind of I think we've gone through, and as we went through, kind of answered any questions you may have. But if you have any further questions, feel free. You can just type them into the question box on the chat box, or you could actually just raise your hand and we can unmute you, and what we can do is take a question from you. So we have about 2 minutes left to go, and at the end of that 2 minutes, what we'll do, we'll sign off. But if you want to continue the discussion or you have any further questions, you can feel free to contact us, and we'll throw our email addresses up online. We'll throw the email address for myself, Carlos, and Kelly, and then also what you can actually go is you can go to the Community of Practice website, and the Community of Practice website is youthbuildmentoringalliance.org, and if you go there, you can actually, that'll give you access to all the information we were talking about, all the tools we were talking about, but in addition to that, it gives you access to a forum where if you want to continue the discussion, if you put it there, we'll continue the discussion with you. But once again, you can see all of the contact information there, and we want to thank you all for joining us on this webinar. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, and we're excited about where mentoring is headed in YouthBuild USA.